Ms. Norton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I must say the testimony that all of you have given has told me much I did not know about how innovation is proceeding, notwithstanding anything that happens in the Congress. It just looks like it is happening, and that states, localities are making it happen. So and I find it very exciting. I couldn't tell, and maybe I could begin with Mr. Bott, whether we are, since the 1,000 flowers look like they're blooming out there already, and I'm trying to find what role Congress should play in facilitating this new mobility, transportation mobility around the country. For example, typically, the federal government has a role in safety, and so when we think about autonomous vehicles, we have to focus on that. We have to think about taxpayer dollars. Essentially, are we in a period of experimentation where the federal government will be irrelevant when we do the next surface transportation bill? Or should we be thinking about ways to incorporate the kind of innovations you are describing into our bill? For example, just to take at the local level here in the nation's capital. The streets are very crowded, so everybody likes to get an Uber or a Lyft when they want to. But the streets are already crowded, and almost anybody can use his or her private car for Uber or Lyft. At the same time, the investment by the Congress and the localities in transit has been so meager that our subway system was falling apart. So what the city is doing, because it's got to limit the number of cars out there, is it is putting some taxes on Uber and Lyft in order to help pay for the transportation system underground, because it's got to keep both going, and yet it's got to get some of those cars off the street. So when I see what's happening in the nation's capital, I'm wondering, what should we be doing as we prepare for the next surface transportation bill? Is anything you're saying part and parcel of what should be in a bill, should be facilitated by a bill, should be encouraged by a bill? I'm talking about the next surface transportation bill. Looks pretty clear that it won't look a lot like the last one, which was all about roads and bridges and trucks and cars. So if the federal government has a role through its 5 or 6 year transportation bills, you could help us to learn what the innovations you have described could be incorporated into the next bill.
I think the federal government absolutely needs to be involved. My concern, if you're not, is that the rural systems will be left behind, because everybody will focus then again on the urban systems. And I understand congestion. I know that that is something that is absolutely needs to be handled and taken care of. But there are a lot of people in the rural areas, they need transportation just as much as those people do. Even though they're less congested, they still have places to go. And I think there is a place for autonomous vehicles in those areas and more technology. It's easier for us to get things done sometimes in the rural areas. I just have to get approval by my board to say, this is the way we want to go, and we figure out the funding and go on and just get it done. So there are some pluses for having innovation in rural areas, but I absolutely do think that the federal government needs to stay involved, if nothing else, to look out for the rural areas and to ensure that all autonomous vehicles are held to the same safety standards. Thank you.